didn't know that we now have words for the Star Wars theme. Seriously. If you'd like to stand up, I will sing it to you.
Everybody, Darth Vader spoken.
And you can join in with me. You all know the tune. You know, dun, 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 dun. You all know the tune, right? It goes, Star Wars made me a fortune, paid off the mortgage, bought me a car. Right, all together. Star Wars made me a fortune, paid off the mortgage, bought me a car. Thank you very much. Sit down.
Welcome to Boston Super Megafest. I hope you don't mind. We thought you were so important, we thought you needed 2 moderators, not just the one.
Oh, comfy. I'm sorry about the being on the crutch, by the way. I had a very serious operation a year ago, where they removed my hip, my femur, and my knee all in one go. And when they did the operation, they said the knee was so badly damaged that they didn't know quite what to do, so they left it. They put the old kneecap back in. And I've had nothing but trouble with it ever since. For a whole year I've been hobbling around the world, doing all these conventions, and with this very, very, very painful knee. And as I said, as you can see, I'm on crutches. And I'm actually going into hospital. They've now decided that the answer is to do another operation and resurface the patella in my knee. And so I'm going in on, well, I was supposed to be in actually this week. And I managed to cancel it. Then they wanted to know if I wanted to go in over Christmas, and I said, no, thank you very much. And so I'm going in January the 4th. I'm having the operation, actually. So keep your fingers crossed, and I should be okay. I should be walking properly after that. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right.
That's my intro.
That's a fantastic intro. I thought maybe we'd go into a couple questions, and Dana and I will talk to you a little bit, and then we're going to open up the floor to a Q&A for everybody out there. So if you guys come up with some good questions, that would be fantastic. I think right off the bat, I think the nice thing to talk about with Darth Vader and Star Wars is that iconic entrance. I think that is probably the most well-known, most famous entrance of any character in the beginning of Star Wars. And I was wondering if you could. Thank you. I was wondering, that's it, just one? Thank you. I was wondering if maybe you can reflect a little bit on perhaps when you filmed it, or how you felt it was when you saw it that first time yourself in the theater.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, I realized that, you know, Vader was the big villain of the piece, as it were, and I wanted to make Vader as like oppressive as possible, and it was the scene when we filmed it, you know, coming out of all the smoke and everything else, and stepping over all the bodies that were on the floor, like, you know, and everybody's reaction to my arrival on the scene is, my God, this guy's bad. You know, this is definitely the bad guy of the film, like, you know, which is exactly what I wanted, and it's just sort of established, you know, Vader's position, you know, for the whole of the trilogy.
And this is just iconic. And it's just, I remember that poster when I was a kid that came. I'm sure you guys all, half of you in the room probably had it up on your wall. The one that folded out, you know, and you opened it up, and it was just a great picture. What about when you first got the part? How'd you get the part?
I got the part in 1970. 70 was an iconic year for me. In 1970, I did a very famous film, Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange. Anybody see it? It was quite interesting for me because everybody was frightened to death of Stanley Kubrick. You know, all the actors and actresses that were ever worked for him, they're all sort of frightened to death of him, like, you know. And I had the pleasure of going up to see him. I had to go to his house one night for the audition, as it were. We sat down and we started talking together. And he was very interested in my bodybuilding and weightlifting career. And so we were talking about more about that than anything else, in fact. And then he said, well, I'd like you to read a line from the movie. And it was only one line, and it was about half a dozen words. Like, and I just read it out, and he just turned around to me and said, well, I can tell you're not acting. I said, well, how can I act over 4 words? Like, you know, like this. But from then on, as I said, well, I seemed to have a sort of very, really nice relationship with him. And I got offered the role of Julian, who was the bodyguard to the writer. And I had two major scenes in the movie. One where I carried Alex, Malcolm McDowell, down the stairs, and then to have a big dialogue scene at the bottom, and then carry him all the way back upstairs to put him in the bath and things like this. And then another scene where I carried Patrick McGee down the stairs in his wheelchair, and had to put him down onto the floor and wheel him into the table, and then sit down and have a dialogue scene, you know. And the thing with Stanley was everybody was scared to death of him. All the actors and actresses were really scared and very, very frightened to stand up to him. And I basically stood up to him. I did the first scene with Alex, and we shot the scene all day, virtually non-stop, with me picking him up, carrying him down the stairs, taking him all the way back up, going upstairs again. And then Stanley said, right, it was take 2, and we wouldn't do another one. Then it was take 3. Then we got to about take 15, and it was, you know, and I finished the end of the day with my arms absolutely killing me, like, you know, I could hardly move my arms. And a couple of days later, Stanley said, well, we're now going to do the bit where you carry Patrick McGee down the stairs in his wheelchair. I said, whoa, I said, hang on a minute. I said, your name's not One Take Kubrick, is it? And everybody went, oh my God, he's calling One Take Kubrick. You know? This is where Dave Prowse gets the sack, you know. But he just smiled off and he said, no, we'll do it as quickly as we possibly can. And we actually shot the scene in about 5 takes. Yeah. But he's lovely. I really enjoyed working with him. And we finished up the movie. I think he respected me, actually, because I sort of stood up to him. And at the end of the movie, he said that, you know, you're more than welcome to come up to the house anytime you're up in the Elstree area, come and see us. And I did. I used to go out there and have an afternoon tea and things like that. And it was lovely. I really got on very, very well with him. And I was very sad when he died. And then just recently, I was doing a show in England, and a lady comes up to me and she said, hello, David, nice to see you again. And I said, excuse me, I don't recognise you. And she said, well, I used to come and watch you film when you were doing Clockwork Orange. I thought, bloody Clockwork Orange, that's years ago, like, donkey's years, and this is a woman about 40, like, you know. And I said, excuse me, I said, I can't remember you coming to see me filming when I was doing Clockwork Orange. She said, oh, I was 7 at the time. And she said, I was Stanley Kubrick's daughter. And one of the kids used to come and watch the film. It was a nice experience.
A very pivotal and powerful film.
Yeah, well, it was
at that time period.
And for me, what happened was that George Lucas, it came out very, very briefly because of all the public controversy. Stanley said, look, I'm going to take the film off the circuit because they were threatening to kill him, like, you know. And he said, I'm going to take the film off the circuit. Nobody will ever see the film again. And they didn't, you know, until he died. And as soon as he died, the film comes back on the circuit again. But in the very short period that it was out, as I said, George Lucas saw it and remembered me for 5 years, and came to London in 1976, beginning of 1976, and I got a call, and it was from the managing director of 20th Century Fox, who was a personal friend of mine. And he said, can you come up to the offices? He said, I've got this guy called George Lucas up here that wants to see you. And I'd never heard of George Lucas. I didn't know who George Lucas was. So I went up to the offices, and I got ushered into this room about half this house sort of size, and there was nothing else but conceptual drawings all the way around the room of this film that he was going to do. George started taking me around the room and saying, well, this is one of the scenes that we're going to do, and this is that, you know. And we were just going around the room looking at it. And then we sat down after, and he said, well, I'd like to offer you one of 2 parts in this movie I'm doing. I thought, oh my God, being offered 2 parts, like this is great. And I said, what's the first part? And he said, well, the first part is a character called Chewbacca. And I said, what the hell is Chewbacca? He says, like a hairy gorilla. This goes through the film on the side of the video. And all I could think of was 3 months in the gorilla's, like in a gorilla's outfit, like, you know, or a teddy bear's outfit, or whatever it was. And I thought, all the sweat and smell and what it was going to be like. And I said, no, John, I said, you can keep that one, thank you very much. I said, what's the other part? And he said, well, the other one's the big villain of the film. I said, don't say any more, George, I'll have the villain's part, thank you very much. And he said, tell me for why. And I said, well, if you think back on all the movies that you've ever seen where there are goodies and baddies, I said, you always remember the bad guy. And he said, Dave, I think you've made a very wise decision. He said, because nobody will ever forget Darth Vader. Here we are, 30-odd, 40-odd years later. I'm now regarded as the ultimate screen villain of all time, which is a great accolade to have like that. Yeah.
Just about every AMC Hollywood list, it has like list of greatest films of all time. Darth Vader's either #1 or #2.
Yep.
Or should be #1.
That's right.
Yeah.
Danny, you got a question?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say, actually ask you something, but you just made me think of something. It was the one who always beats out Darth Vader, I think, well, on occasion, is the nurse from, what's the Nicholson? One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Nurse Ratched?
Nurse Ratched.
The only one I've ever seen beat him is Anthony Hopkins is
Oh, Hannibal Lecter?
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, really? No, Nurse Ratched.
He's not evil. He's just
He's
crazy.
He's insane. Well, that's a whole other topic.
All right, so moving back to our favorite saga.
Yeah.
You have,
you
do have a
yeah, thanks, yeah. Sorry. When you were being shown the conceptual paintings, really, that was it Rick
drawings.
McCory?
Ralph
McCory.
Drawings.
McCory. Oh, drawings. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he like save a picture of Darth Vader for last, or did you see him?
No, I had no idea what Darth Vader was going to look like.
You didn't even get a glimpse of it.
I wasn't until I was asked to go to the costumiers to get measured up with the suit. And then I saw that was the first time I saw the design of the suit.
What did you think of that? That design was just so iconic. It just
looked great.
Nothing like it before in any film. You can almost say even up to this date, a costume.
I mean, it was comfortable. The only thing was they made the helmet and the mask too big, and we put the helmet and the mask on, and everything sort of wobbled around. And I said, I'm terribly sorry, but the mask is too big, And I said, we obviously need to get another one. And George said, oh, no. He said, the size of the mask looks absolutely perfect on you. He said, what we'll do, we'll lay foam rubber all around the inside of the mask so that it fits sort of flush onto your face.
That must have been very
And that was happening. Well, that was one of the problems. Because in the mask, you just used to sweat buckets. I mean, you really didn't. Of course, we filmed in the hottest summer we've ever had, 1976. It was the hottest summer we've ever had in Great Britain. But no, we managed. It was very warm.
Excellent. Well, in the saga, you had very different directors to work with. Obviously, George Lucas, Irving Kershner, and Richard Marquand. Do you have any comments? Maybe one was your favorite, or one particular one you want to maybe mention? We don't have to talk about Richard Marquand.
No, George was very, very nice, but quite quiet. But obviously knew what he wanted. I mean, this is the thing. And he was a pleasure to work with. Irving Kershner was a lovely director as well. Richard Marquand was the biggest, asshole you could ever wish to come across, excuse my language. But he was the worst director I had ever come to. He hardly spoke to me for the entire movie. I don't know how we managed to do what we did without him conversing with me. And I thought I must have done something wrong, because specifically it seemed to avoid me all the time. And I used to go on and do my little bit of acting every so often, and then come back and sit down. And I can't even remember getting much direction from him, even on the bits he did direct. And then I sort of. It really annoyed me, and it got to a stage where I thought to myself, he seemed to be using my stuntmen a lot rather than using me. And I think this is, and I was just sat around, waiting for things to happen, waiting to do something. And I'd see my stuntman getting dressed up and doing what I should have been doing. And then anyway, it came to the crunch when I was at the studios, and we were all sitting around waiting for something to happen, and I see Bob Anderson, my stuntman, getting dressed up, you see. And so I thought, I must find out what's going on. But obviously, like this, they don't get Bob Anderson dressed up, and this is going to be some sort of major stunt. And so I went over to see him, and I said, excuse me, Bob. I said, what are you getting dressed for? And he said, we're doing this stunt where the Emperor, Darth Vader throws the Emperor off the balcony, you see. I said, are you going to do it? See? He said, well, yeah, this is the plan. He said, they want me to do it. He said, so I said, could you pick the Emperor up and lift him above his head and throw him off the balcony? He said, well, no, I can't. So I said, well,
you obviously can't.
How are they going to do it? They said, well, they got several plans to do this. they're going to, the first plan, what it is, and this is what they tried to do. The first plan was to put the Emperor on wires, and then haul him up, and then Bob Anderson would stand underneath him with his arms outstretched like this. Then they would lower the Emperor down onto Bob Anderson's hands, and hopefully Bob Anderson was going to be able to hold him and then walk forward to throw him over the balcony. Well, what happened? I watched them for 3 days doing this, trying to do this stunt, and every time the Emperor came down, landed on, and the pair of them landed on the floor. There was no way he could hold him. See? And so anyway, they eventually gave up. They gave up this idea. See? So the next thing I know, they brought him what they call a teeter board, which is like a seesaw. I guess this is quite interesting to express. I'll try and show it to you. With a teeter board, you have a. You have a say this is like a seesaw, right? So you do that, all right? That's what happens, right? So the idea, in all surfaces, there's always an act where somebody stands up on a ladder up there, and somebody stands down there like this. Somebody goes up on the ladder and they jump off the ladder onto there, and the person on there goes up in the air like this, you see, and lands on somebody else who catches him just here, you see. So that was the idea. That's what they were going to do. You see. So I thought this is going to be really going to be interesting. And so they dress this Bob Anderson gets all dressed up again there. And for 3 days, another 3 days, I think it was 2 days. But you have never seen anything like it. I mean, Bob Anderson falling all over the place, never going in the right direction. And eventually I wouldn't say they gave up. I eventually went up to Richard Markman and I said, "Excuse me," I said, "just what are you trying to do?" He said, "Well, we're just doing the bit where the Emperor gets right off the balcony." I said, "Well, it's easy." He said, "What do you mean it's easy?" I said, "Well, I would just pick him up as soon as I had walk forward and throw him off the balcony." He said, "Could you do that?" And I said, "Well, of course I can." I said, "I won the British heavyweight weightlifting champion for nothing." And he said, "All right, we'll do it Monday. We'll come in on Monday. We'll do it on Monday." So I went in on Monday morning. I'd had an accident to my knee over the weekend. And I thought, there's no way, and I had this terrible knee. I was walking in agony, like, I thought, there's no way that I'm not going into that studio and doing this stunt. And so I went in and we shot it in one take.
They have really strict union rules. I mean, because you were clearly probably the strongest man in the building, during the filming of that. In fact,
the strongest man in the country, probably.
Now, we have a really good prop here. Since you picked it up, I think this is really good. This is straight from the Forces Mountain. This is the last copy of the building, which was bought by Kevin Lyle, which is not me. But I thought maybe you want to talk a little bit about it. What was the impetus behind this?
Well, no, I just decided I wanted to come out with I wanted to write my memoirs, as it were. I've had a very, very interesting career, ranging from, when I was a boy, I was a very good schoolboy sprinter, and then at the age of 13, I started having trouble with my knees, and I went into hospital thinking that I just had swollen knees and they were going to do something about it. And little did I know, but they kept me in there for a year trying to prove that I had tuberculosis. They thought I had tuberculosis in the knee. But while I was in hospital, I just grew and grew and grew. I went into hospital. I was 5'9". I came out a year later. I was 6'3", and then they decided that there was no tuberculosis, but there was something wrong. It was obviously affecting my knee joints. And so at the age of 15, they put me in a leg brace, which I had on until I was 17. And at the age of 17, I'd gone up to 6'5", but I was quite. So well, what happened when I was 15? I started exercising. They wanted me to go swimming, and I didn't like swimming very much. And eventually, I bought a bodybuilding magazine, and I really got besotted with bodybuilding. All I ever wanted to be was Mr. Universe. That was my big ambition in life. And anyway, I started exercising and training, and I just improved and improved and improved. And I started entering sort of junior physique competitions to start with. That means under 18. And then once I was over 18, I was into what they call the senior Mister competitions. And then eventually, I got good enough. I was 6'7" and weighing about, I think about 210, 230 pounds. And I got invited to enter the Mr. Universe contest. You know, I was one of the top physiques in the country. And anyway, I entered this competition, not really thinking I was really going to get anywhere, because there was the standard in these big, huge competitions is very, very high. And I was basically too tall. I was 76'7", is out of proportion in comparison. They haven't got the proportions that the smaller guys have got. And I mean, for instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger, for instance, he was 6'1". Lou Friedman was about 6'1", and it seems that they have obviously a much greater propensity to developing like huge physiques. And at 6'7", you're a bit on the tall and stringy side, like, you know. And anyways, I did this. I got invited to enter the Mr. Universe contest. So I must have been reasonably good. And I entered the competition. At the end of the competition, the chief of the judges came up to me and said, "Dave," he said, "I got some bad news for you." I said, "What's that?" And he said, "You will never ever win this competition." I said, "Well, why not?" I said, "I'm the biggest competitor you've ever had." I said, "I can obviously get a lot bigger. I'm only 25. I said, "I can obviously get a lot bigger." He said, "No, it's got nothing to do with your physique." I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He said, "You've got ugly feet." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you've got hammer toes and bunions and things like that." He said, "If it comes to a decision between two physiques of equal standing, the judges will look at you and look at your feet and say, well, and nitpick and say, well, that's it. You know, there's no way that you're going to be Mr. Universe like with feet like you got." So I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. You know, I thought that's really the end of my bodybuilding career. I thought I was getting quite strong at the time, so I changed over to competitive weightlifting. So in 1963, that was 1960. 1961, I got third place in the British weightlifting championships, heavyweight champions. In '62, I won it, and I did the World Weightlifting Championships in Budapest. I did the Empire and Commonwealth Games in Perth, Australia. In '63, I won it again. And I didn't went anywhere special in '63, and then '64 came along, and I won it again. Of course, that was Olympic year, and we were all training to go to Tokyo for the Olympic Games. And at the very last minute, the Weightlifting Association got in touch with me and said, "Terribly sorry, but we haven't got enough money to send a complete team, and the heavyweight, which is me, stands least chance of getting anywhere." I mean, the rest of the world were